welcome to Southpaw Drones, and if this is the first time you're joining us, thanks very much. You're very welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like and share with your friends if you could, and if you want to be notified every time I upload some new content, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Right, as you can see, we are here with the Absima AT 2.4. Just done a bit of a bash today, and we're going to need to do some general maintenance and some cleaning. So just going to unplug the light lead there. As you can see in the bottom, we have an extensive light system built in there. Just a bit of Velcro on there just to hold it in case we decide not to plug the bodywork in. Okie dokie. So here we go. We've got the 540 60T motor, waterproof ESC, and a non-waterproof receiver, which I will be getting a box for, and a 60 amp steering servo. That's the one. It's got quite an interesting mechanism linking the servo. I don't know whether you can see that there. I can focus in. There we go. Straight through, bolted from the top as well, top and bottom, to add to strength to it. Very, very nice. It's currently running a series of a couple of Flurion 3.5 3500 milliamp batteries, and these give it roughly 15 to 20 minutes drive time per battery, so they're well worth getting hold of. First one of those is just charged. That's fantastic. So general cleaning and maintenance afterwards. Obviously you're going to give it a good brush down and make sure there's no dirt and dust lying around, but you've got to make sure that you maintain your wheels and your bearings properly. So we're going to get a little wrench and we're going to take the wheels off. There we go. Wheel off. Now the wheels, as you can see, a bit muddy. Make sure you clean out any large lumps of mud inside your wheels, because if you get big lumps of dry mud in there, it's actually going to counterbalance the wheel, and you will get bearing bearing damage on your wheels because of the extra weight in there, especially if you're doing a lot of high speed driving. So make sure you get all of the crap out of your wheels. As far as the bearings go, so what we're going to do is just pop off the little black nut there with a bar, and then there's a small tiny little bar. You can see that there, tiny little bar that holds this cup inside, and we're going to take that cup out and we're going to give it a bit of a clean. So we'll be back in a second. I'll unscrew it. Now this one has actually got a small nut on the back, so I'm just going to lock that onto there.
Sorry, the hand's in shot. And that's off. Still threaded, so I'm going to take that there.
Bada boom. And now your dog bone can come out. We'll give that a bit of a clean in a second. More importantly, you can rotate this and take this cup out. Now you can already see my fingers are getting dirty. That's got all sorts of crap just from a standard drive. It doesn't have to be a particularly wet run, but the wetter run you do, the more important it is to keep your bearings clean, relatively clean in that little cup. So I'm not going to worry about ramming the paper cup in there. Now inside here are bearings, what you can see in there. These ones are looking pretty, they're clean as far as they're not damaged, but they are grubby. So we're going to get some cloth and clean in there with cloth. Paper towel in there, and run it all the way through the bearing. being careful not to push out the front bearing, which I will show you in a second.
So I'm going to put that through, just give it a tug in. This bearing here, there's a little brass bearing mounted in there. Just make sure you don't move that too much. It will come out and it will go back in place, but you want to
leave it where it is. You can see all the crap that's in there. So that's giving it a bit of a wipe inside, and then we just take a 2-inch brush meat and give it a good brush in there. Get all the grit away from all your bearings. If you've had a particularly wet run, I would suggest completely removing those bearings and re-cleaning them. Cleaning them in WD-40, soaking them in WD-40 for a few minutes, spraying it through, and then replacing the oil. You can get bearing oil from Amazon or Banggood or Model Sport UK if you're in the UK. So once that's done, we're also going to clean the ends of the bars, get any extraneous crap from those away. We can do this on all 4 wheels obviously, but I'm just going to show you the one. Clean all of that crap off so it's nice and clean. You can also check it for straightness, so make sure it's not bent in any way. You will see it wobble from one end to the other if you spin it in your fingers. As long as that's straight, that's brilliant. Don't forget to get your brush into the other cup end on the differential there, and get any particulates, grass, dust, sand, anything you can see, get that out of there. So that's looking nice and shiny. And then we put the dog bone back in, ready like that, and then we get the cup which we've cleaned. Actually, before we do that, then we're going to take some silicone spray, a can of silicone spray, and we're going to give it a light squirt in the bearings. This is a nice, that prevents moisture and it also lubricates the bearings. And then we're going to slide our little cup back in, push that through. Don't worry about the pin just now. And then locate the end of the cup from the ball dog bone and relocate it in the top one. And then it doesn't matter which way around you place these bars back on, they're just standard. Just make sure you use the right screw and check your mounting point from the one that's already still affixed on the other wheel to make sure that you're putting it in the right hole, because these bars have several mounting points, and also the joint itself has several mounting points. Okay, good. That's how tight that is dependent on how you like to drive and how much movement you want in your steering. So can't really advise you on that one. And then take a pin, give that a bit of a wipe, get rid of any particles on there, any extraneous grease, and then spinning the wheel to get the hole lined up. There we go, so it's sideways. Put your bar through, and then take your little cap. You can see there's a little bar shaped gap in there that goes straight over the end, like so, and that will snap in place when you push on the cup, like so. And then just a matter of attaching the other arm. Now, silicone spray you can pick up from mechanic shops. You can get it on Amazon or other similar sort of venues. Pretty easy to get hold of. It is kind of dangerous if you inhale it, so do make sure you don't spray it near your face or into your children's food or anything hilarious like that. Okay, just going to loosen that just a tad. we go. Right, now again with the silicone spray already, we're going to just spray it into the dog bone cups. A little bit of the same in this one. The bendy tubes are very handy. Just as a bit of protection against the moisture. And that I can hear, you probably can't from there, but there's no gritty sounding movements as we're spinning the wheel, which is excellent. So do make sure you do that pretty much every time you run the car, but it's especially if you've got a wet and very muddy. Make sure maintenance is key with RC, because if you don't look after the car, it'll get smashed and then it'll cost you loads of money, so you really don't want to do that. So make sure these little joints here get well cleaned and looked after every time, and recheck all your screws and mounts. As you can see underneath here, this one's had a bit of a pasting today, but all this mud, once it's dry, it's best to let it dry, then you can just brush it off with a stiff brush. Make sure when you move your suspension arms down, you brush inside underneath these little ridges that secure your A-arms. At the bottom of the suspension towers, make sure they're all cleaned out as well. Everything under both sides. Screws, make sure they're not protruding and that they're not loose. Anything that's really loose that regularly needs tightening up, get some thread lock. Just a little dab of thread lock on the screws, and screw them in, and they'll stay secure for much longer. As you can see, despite the fact she's new, this has had serious injury. No, it's not a serious injury, but the front of the belly pan here sheared when we accidentally rammed it into the curb at 25 miles an hour, and pretty much tore the front off the belly pan, which there's a new belly pan on order, but this section here, I don't know if you can see that in there, the arms are mounted on a U-bar. There's a steel bar here that's U-shaped and pushed in, so this roll cage protects that and also keeps it from coming out of the car. So rather an important piece. So I've reinforced it with some Teflon plastic and just hot glued it on over the top of the super glue, just to make sure that until the new body pan arrives, that'll keep us tight and safe, mate. Now the Absam has got flexible mounts for the shock towers to make sure that it's got as much movement as possible, which is a really nice touch. But if you've got hard shock towers, these screws may well loosen off quite regularly. So again, just make sure you check them regularly, that these ball sockets here aren't extremely loose and the nuts mounting them on aren't loose. If they are, tighten them up. If they keep loosening off because of the way you're driving, that's fine. Just make sure you thread lock them and those will stay in place. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us. I'm Steve for Southpaw Drones. I'll join you next time. Or you could join me next time. Damn it.